Hi everyone, Beck and Sean here again today at the Masculine Alchemy. And today's very important topic is why men fear the rejection more than death. The interesting part is that recently the survey showed that the men are afraid of public rejection and humiliation more than they're afraid of the death. So, Sean, what are your thoughts on this? Where do you think it comes from?
Crazy, right? To think that
Right.
there's something that is more fear provoking than death itself. So here's my take, Beck. From a biological standpoint and from an evolutionary standpoint, human beings are actually equating rejection to death itself. And the reason for that is when we evolved in our primal state of existence in a tribe, if we did something that was rejected or had us be ostracized from the group, from the tribe, it actually most often resulted in death because we survived communally. And so that part of our brain that is ancient and has evolved over hundreds of thousands of years, it's still there in us now. And so the reality is when we think about rejection now, there's a part of our brain that says, you're not going to survive. And that's still there. And that's what's driving this deep, deep fear of rejection. And it pervades all parts of life.
Yeah, I agree, and I think imagine that thousands of years ago, if you were rejected by a tribe, in that environment, quite often it meant death, because you are thrown out. You lose the protection of the society. No woman will marry you. Your genes are not going to pass forward, and it's basically a death. So modern men, when they experience rejection, especially when a woman says no. Imagine it's the millions of years of wiring kicks in and it equals a death to a man. But nowadays, because we live in such a society, it does not mean that anymore. So, yes, sometimes somebody says yes, but sometimes some person might say no. And it is okay, from what I understand. But our nervous system, parasympathetic system, overrides our brain. Even a man, if he understands that it's not end of the world, but nervous system thinks it is end of the world, and a man spirals down. So this is a very important distinction that I would like to bring to modern men to understand and realize. It is
Mm-hmm.
okay if someone says no. It's not end of the world. And if you're experiencing it, it's just your ancestral, our biological wiring is kicking in. That's how it has been trained for millennia. And we just have to learn to rewire it. And this is the most important part. The other interesting part is that Sean, I want you to go deep on is like quite often men, we equal our status quo, our reputation with ourselves. So if something happens to our reputation and it goes down, we experience it as a death. What do you think is the reason behind that?
Yeah, I mean, you made some great points, Beck, and I want to really emphasize something that you said for the listeners because it's really important to reframe this as a recognition of for what it is. Because there's this tendency to for men to feel self-conscious, for men to feel insecure and shameful even about the fear of rejection, to think there's something wrong with me, I'm weak. It's just not the case. This is you're working against, as Beck said, ancestral DNA that is not just in your mind and your nervous system, but in all of our nervous systems. Now, as far as the what's really underneath this, the 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 trigger or the wounds that is being touched when we're talking about core identity of men. Because when a woman says no to a man, I'm not interested in you, I don't want to go out with you, whatever it is, that goes much deeper. It's not just superficial level. It's underneath it all is it's touching this narrative that I am not enough. That's what it feels like. And that's very painful for men to have that thought of I am not enough, or to feel that felt sense of I am not enough of a man, of a person. So
Yeah,
I want you back to talk about, share a little bit about how how does that show up in a man's life in terms of like, because the emotion, dealing with the emotional side of that is really important, right?
that's right. So just think about it. When a woman comes up to you and says, "No, I'm not interested in dating with you, or hanging out with you, or just being your friend," we totally go down because she hits that no, hits the image that we put out, that I put out. I'm a cool guy, I'm an interesting guy, and all of a sudden the woman says no, and then it hits everything at the same time. The way how we see ourselves, then all this work we've been doing on ourselves, it goes down. Then it's like why I was putting up this big macho thing if this woman can come and take it down. And men, as men, we were not trained to process our emotions and let go. So what I've noticed, a lot of men try to numb down that feeling, so they go into rage and self-rage, they anger, or they use substances, they use porn because porn became so accessible, right? So it's easier. When you watch porn, nobody tells no to you. You just watch it, right? So it's very interesting. And now with advance of AI, you can have a virtual girlfriend that will always gonna say yes to you and gonna make the life easier. So I think this kind of things that happen to men internally. And I think it's important. I've talked a lot in my conversations with men. We have to disidentify ourselves with our output and our image. If something doesn't like us or just says no, it doesn't mean they don't like us. Maybe we're just not the right person. It's not the end of the world. If something didn't work out in our life, we should not equal our self-worth with our external output. Like a lot of men judge themselves by how much money they make, what kind of job they hold, what kind of relationships they have. But quite often life comes in and takes those things away from you. What are you going to do? Are you going to go down every time something that doesn't work out the way how you want, or something that you think is part of your identity is taken away? Look at the economy, look at the jobs, right? Or even at the relationships. If woman says no, and we identify ourselves with being able to be with that woman or being seen with that woman, or if you lose a job, it's the same thing, like all of a sudden we're losing our identity. So I think this is a very, very important distinction. Our self-worth should not be connected to our output and to ability of women say yes or no. So I say, if woman said a no, it means like you're on a GPS, you ended up on the wrong street. It means it's maybe not the right person for you, and it's okay. You change the coordinates, you go onto another address, to other location, which might be yes. So you just keep changing. You do not equal no with the end of the world, or meaning that it's not going to work out for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I love the analogy, and that's really what it is, right? Back, it's feedback, and it's not feedback about ourselves as people, as human beings. It's It's about our effectiveness with certain things. And the great thing about men is we're empowered. We can change our characteristics, our qualities, our traits that can attract women in a huge way. I mean, the reality is that men tend to be more visual. So women do a lot with their appearance to attract men, but that's less changeable. It's less adaptable. It's less improvable in many ways. Whereas for men, the things that are really magnetically attractive to women, like confidence, groundedness, stability, these are things that can be improved. These are things that can be worked on. And, it's talking about like just talking about in the arena of dating and relationships, right? What men aren't really afraid of, it's not that they're afraid of a woman when they go up and talk to her. The real fear is being seen trying. Like, I'm going to go try to talk to this woman and someone's going to see me. It's being seen. It's being seen, not just trying, but failing. It's that fear of humiliation. And in a man's mind, it triggers this social comparison to other men. Like other men are watching me fail, lose my sense of dominance, lose my sense of control. So most men, they avoid approaching women. They avoid even trying. They avoid connecting with women. What do? They just hide behind dating apps. They just sit on their phone and they text. But these are the men that are losing. They're losing in dating and relationships because their options are so limited. And the men who can go and approach a woman and just talk to her in on the street or in a store, those are the men that are really getting women's attention, especially right now.
Yeah, I think we should. That's why we need to bring another distinction into the conversation. It's the ability of men to be praised, or the ability of men to try and fail, and not to look at the failure as something bad, but as a learning curve. Because if a baby doesn't try learning how to walk, it's never going to learn how to walk. It should try it, fall. And it is okay to fall. It is okay, hit your face to the ground, fall with your face down into the mud. It's okay. It's actually brave. For me, when men go and try do that, that shows to me a true masculinity. That's a true bravery for me and courage. Because this is exactly what it takes. It's easy to numb yourself down, whether with porn or any other kind of addiction, but it's much harder to go and try and fail. Because every day I go out and do something that I'm not comfortable, I say, okay, great work. Maybe I didn't get what I wanted, but I definitely tried. And it gave me confidence, and I've learned something. So instead of going down every time something doesn't work out, make it a learning experience. Create like a challenges for yourself. What's the scary thing for me today? If I'm learning to date, how many women I can contact today and talk to them. And I just said it, and it's okay. And that's why remember our last conversations, we were talking about finding an accountability partner, a friend, who you can go and talk to these things. So these are the challenges we can put up for each other. Hey, if I'm learning, want to have a date, how many women I'm going to call and meet this week? Or if I'm starting a business, how many clients I'm going to call, new clients, to get new clientele? Create this accountability to each other, to risk and be okay with falling down. And this is where the friendship comes in. So if I fall, my friend next to me picks me up and says, dude, you did great. Great job for trying. So this is, I think, where we as men, we should move towards.
Yeah, and I just want to underscore that mindset shift that you said around rejection. because, and this is where I coach men. This is a core area I coach men around, and it's changing the relationship with rejection. In fact, for a lot of men, I actually encourage them to make rejection the goal, because when you're starting out, we over associate our worth or ourselves with the result, like you said. Men need to disconnect from the result and just focus on the action. But I like to take it one step further. Actually focus, make the results the thing that we think we don't want. And that creates a win no matter what mentality. I go out, I try something, I ask for something, I go talk to her, I get rejected. Great. I'm one step closer to my goal. And it's just embodying that mindset of repetition of action, and not identifying with the result. So yeah, I love the action oriented. I think we like to give out assignments and
Yeah. Get
homework, and
rejected every week, right? So this is
every
the
day. I'd
every
say every
day.
day.
It's
I mean,
okay.
make it like, you can make it small little rejections. You can, ask for a discount
Yeah. At
at,
the
at, a,
coffee
at a
shop.
store, or at a coffee shop. You can ask for a free coffee.
Yeah.
You can, or if you want to be a little less bold, like, ask for a free upgrade. Or if
So
you're at the store checking out, ask for 20% off. You can make it, have fun with it, or go up and talk to a woman, ask her out on a date.
yeah.
That's a little bit harder if you don't have any experience with it, but just make the goal. I'm going to go out and try something and accept the rejection and see what happens. You might be surprised at the result you have.
So the interesting part is like I practice Aikido. In Aikido, you fall all the time and then you keep getting up. And we throw each other so many times, and it's very hard to learn. And you feel like a loser for years before mastering that art.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. The number one skill man gets to master is not being afraid to being rejected and falling, because this is where the lessons and mastery comes. If you are afraid of failing and you don't try, you're never gonna win. But if you teach yourself it's okay to fail and keep trying, then you are going to win, because through this failing and falling, the process of learning happens, and that's how you get better and better. This is the path to the self mastery. And I think this is where we can, close this conversation so the men have something one to take away. What are your final thoughts, Sean?
Well, I just want to be clear to the men listening about the action steps for this week, right? So it's we talked about redefining the relationship with rejection, and then going out and actually experiencing a rejection this week, trying something, asking for something, going for something, and letting yourself experience that feeling. Because at the end of the day, what we're doing here, going back to the earlier part of the conversation, is we're just retraining our nervous systems that have learned over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution that rejection is bad, rejection is dangerous. And
Rejection is death, not just
rejection is death.
dangerous. Yes.
Exactly, death.
So you're
So
going against the evolution.
we're
Yes.
retraining, we're simply retraining the nervous system to have a different relationship with rejection. And that's where freedom comes. And I'll just end with this. I'll say, a man who is not afraid of rejection is a man who is free.
Yeah, and the man who is free and is the man who is on the path of self mastery. All right, go get rejected this week,
That's right.
brothers.
We'll get rejected this week, guys.
All
See you
right,
next week.
see you next week.